Hi, and what we're going to talk about today is macronutrients. So, macronutrients generally are a step up from calories. They're harder to understand, but if you get them right, they can definitely improve performance, they can improve a body composition, and ultimately help you get closer to your goals. So, what we're going to cover today is what exactly are macros, what carbs are, what proteins are, what fats are, and then how much do you need of each of them. So we're going to start off in what are macronutrients. So they're basically carbohydrates, protein, and fat, and they all come together and make up calories. So starting with carbohydrates get a bad rap in the dieting world. Like for me, carbohydrates are very important, and their main role in the body is energy. They're going to be the best energy source. So if you're looking for a performance goal, carbohydrates are going to be your best friend in giving you that energy to reach your targets. Carbohydrates can be broken down into simple or complex carbohydrates. And as I said, their main role is to provide us with energy. With carbohydrates, there's 4 calories per gram. So if you 10 grams of carbohydrate, there's going to be 40 calories in that. With protein, you can have complete or incomplete. Their main role is to help the body recover. So if you're doing a hard gym session, then that's going to recover the muscle that has been broken down in that gym session. So protein, probably one of the most popular ones from a kind of social media perspective. And I find with protein, people tend to either have too much of it or not enough. So it's hard enough to get protein right. So hopefully today will help you get that right. And again, protein has 4 calories per gram. So similar to carbohydrates. With fats, then you can have saturated or unsaturated, and then there's also trans fats too, which we'll talk about. Fats are also used for energy. They're not as good as an energy source as carbohydrate, but they're definitely still used for energy and also vitamin absorption. So your vitamin A, vitamin D, E, and K, they're all fat absorbed vitamins. So vitamin D being the most popular. You need fat to help that be absorbed. So kind of getting into the macronutrients now into more detail. Carbohydrates, starting with them. And as you can see here with the circle, you have simple and you have complex carbohydrates. So what we'll be looking to do is trying to get more of the complex, as you can see on the right hand side. The complex are those slow breaking down carbohydrates that are going to give you really good energy throughout the day. To optimize this, you'll be looking more at the brown products such as brown rice, brown pasta, um, like brown bread. Those would all be broken down slowly. And as you can see over just on the left, the explanation, they're absorbed into the body slower, especially when they're high in fiber. And as we said, the brown rice, brown bread, and brown pasta are all going to be very high fiber, and that is going to be very beneficial for your gut health too. The high fiber foods feed your good gut bacteria and keep them strong and healthy. With the simple carbs then on the left, such as your sweets, chocolate, and crisps, they're absorbed very quickly into the body. So if you just had a chocolate bar for lunch, that's going to be absorbed very quick into the body. It's going to give you that sugar spike, and then you're going to be hungry very soon after that, because it's absorbed just like that. Whereas if you had a bowl of brown rice, that's going to be absorbed a lot slower, going to give you a less of a spike throughout the day and going to give you better energy. So we'll be looking to optimize the complex carbs. Next, kind of moving on to protein then, you have the incomplete and the complete sources of protein. So the complete sources contain all 9 essential amino acids our body needs. So with amino acids, they're just the broken down version of protein. So the building blocks of protein. And there's around 20 amino acids, and our body needs 9, and that's why they're essential amino acids. So we get that then from food. The essential amino acids are in like your meats, dairies, eggs, and fish, and then the plant-based sources too, like your nuts, seeds, and beans. So when it comes to complete sources like your chicken, your steak, like your eggs, they're going to have those 9 amino acids in them, and that's why they're complete. In incomplete, that's the kind of the challenge when it comes to plant-based diets, and like vegans and vegetarians, that the incomplete sources here on the left-hand side of the circle don't have all those 9 essential amino acids. They may have two, they may have three, but that's why it's so important to have a variety if you're vegan or vegetarian. It's important to get a mix. So, like for your dinner, you might have some chickpeas with beans and also some nuts and seeds. That way, you can ensure that you're getting those 9 throughout the day, and it helps with your like your muscle building or toning kind of goal. So that's really important. And I use the analogy of a jigsaw. The complete sources are basically like a complete jigsaw, that you don't really have to worry, and they have all 9 essential amino acids. The incomplete then are kind of like different pieces of the jigsaw, and only with all the pieces together that you can complete the jigsaw. So just making sure that you have a variety of sources. So then we look at fats, and what I find is there's a lot of confusion around good, bad fats, and what exactly fats do in the body. So here you can see unsaturated, saturated, and trans fats. So out of all these, omega-3 is you probably heard the omega-3s are very good in the body, very good for heart health, very good for the brain, and very good just for anti-inflammatory effects in the body. So we'd be getting those from the unsaturated fats. And as you can see here, they're going to be your olive oil, your avocado, your seeds, and also your salmon. So we'd be looking for salmon. Like the salmon recommendation is having it twice a week. If you're not into fish, it might be looking about cooking with small bits of olive oil, or looking to include seeds or nuts or avocado in your diet. So that way you're getting good fats in. So saturated then are on the right hand side. These tend to be solid at room temperature, and that's the difference really. And it's just about limiting consumption of these foods. So it's going to be more in your processed meats. Like always look for lean red meat. And you can tell now in the marketing of like red meats, a lot of them will put lean mince. Otherwise, a fat content less than about 12 grams per 100 grams of meat. You can see here like the processed foods such as sausages, rashers, they're all going to be high in saturated fat. Cheese, butter, spreads, they're all going to be the main contributors there. Trans fats, then, on the other hand, are probably the most associated with poor health outcomes in the long term. That's going to be like your fast food, your confectionery. You'd look to limit this in the diet as much as possible, just because of the negative health benefits of having them long term. So, just a recap of the fats, like try to include a little more unsaturated fat, being the good fats in the diet, and they'll be rich in omega-3 and serve you well in the long term, in regards to health benefits. So then coming on to the last slide, it's like how much of each do we need? So I generally recommend, if you're just starting out, looking at the 50% carbs, 20% protein, and 30% fat kind of split. That way you can ensure that you're getting enough protein, you're getting good energy from the carbs, and the fats aren't super high that they're causing a surplus in calories. With the other kind of recommendations, kind of breaking it down further, like for carbohydrates, I'd usually recommend for athletes to be up around the 8 to 12 grams per kg of body weight. That can be a lot of carbs. And if you have a performance goal such as a marathon, a long cycle, or a swim, that's the region you'd be looking at. And it can be challenging to get up to that, and can disrupt the stomach. So it's important to really kind of test that and try nothing new before your event. Just do that in your training to before any big event comes up. With kind of moderate exercise, you'll be looking at the 5 to 7 grams per kg body weight kind of range, and you just kind of multiply the 5 to 7 by whatever weight you are in kg, and that will give you the grams of carbohydrate. If you go back to the first slide, you multiply that then by 4 calories, and it will give you the calorie amount. With protein, you do the same. Like here with the range, 1.3 to 1.7 is generally what I'd recommend as a starting point for protein. You multiply the 1.3, the 1.7 by your body weight, and then that'll give you the grams of protein. And then if you multiply that by 4 again, because there's 4 calories in protein per gram of protein, that'll give you the calories of protein that you'd be looking to hit. So the 1 to 3 range, 1.3 to 1.7 range, you'd want to be aiming for the 1.7, the higher range, if you're really active, going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and like really in need of that recovery. Especially too if you're in performance, you'd be looking to hit the higher range here. If you're kind of starting out in the gym, doing the 1 to 3 days, and kind of a beginner intermediate, you'd be looking to get the 1.3 to 1.5. With like things like cutting body weight, for like a 12-week period, you could be pushing up higher than the 1.7 to like the 2 grams per kg body weight. And that would be mainly like just to preserve the muscle mass. With higher amounts of protein, you can take a hit with energy. Protein is a very poor energy source, and like it doesn't serve you well, and you're compromising the amount of carbohydrates and fats that you can get in then too. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. Like studies show that there's no benefit from 2.5 kg, 2.5 grams per kg of body weight. So anything going higher than that isn't really recommended. With a BMI of over 30, you'd recommend going 1 gram per centimeter height. So if you were 180 centimeters in height, you'd be looking for 180 grams of protein a day, just as a rough kind of ballpark region. So yeah, if you have any questions around protein intake, carbohydrate intake, or anything around macronutrients, don't be afraid to reach out. And thank you.